Hello guys, welcome to week 8, recovering a sense of strength in the artist's way. I am out here on my patio today because even though it might rain on me, it seems okay for now, so I'm willing to take a risk. So, give everybody a minute here to get here. This is a live stream. So the first thing that we want to do is go back over week 7 and take a look at some of the activities, tasks that we did, and do a check-in. So let me actually adjust this here. Cool. All right. So, one of the first tasks that we did last week was, so they listed out 10, and I recommend that we do about 5, but I went through this. So one of them was to make this phrase a mantra. Teaching myself like a precious object will make me strong. And that's just basically about valuing yourself. So I went and I wrote that out and I put it above my espresso machine, just so that I could see. We're so often reminded of our shortcomings, and I think that it's important to follow through on that and be reminded of the fact that you are valuable and you have to have good ideas. Another thing that we had to do this last week was give yourself time out to just listen to an album, and even furthering that and taking like a few minutes, like 20 minutes to sit down and actually doodle and see how the music influenced what you were doing. I often do this when I'm painting. I've had people come up to me at shows where I'm live painting, and they'll like point at me from across the room and look at me, and they'll watch my hand as I'm painting with the music, and it influences how I'm painting, because I really like to dance, and music just really gets me in my soul. So whenever I'm painting at these shows, at least one person will come up to me and say, "Oh my God, you're totally painting with the music." And then when I confirm it, then they're just so happy that they noticed it. And it is actually really cool to notice little details like that. People find artists to be very interesting, and they like to see how we approach creation. So it's pretty fun to see. Just here, hello. Before we get going a little too far, I want to make sure, is there pretty bad road noise? Right above me is a main road here, and I just want to make sure that you guys can actually hear me. Zandra says, will your jasmine get enough light on the patio? Yeah, it's doing fine. I actually get really good light down here. Okay, so the road noise is pretty bad. All right, I'm going to move. I didn't realize that it was going to be that bad. Sometimes I'm out here and it's like super peaceful. There's not that many good. We'll take a little bit. All right. Yeah, the idea is great, but all right, let's move in. I gotta go in the house here. So I have to move this little table inside. Okay. Oh, my pillows? Yeah, I got those at Target. All right, you guys, come with me. Let's go in the house. And I'm going to turn on some lights for you guys. 2/3 of the way through. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Okay, how's that? You guys came on a field trip with me. Okay, welcome to my house. Now you guys can hear me, I'm sure. So let's see, maybe I can put my collage up here. Did anybody do the collage this week? Let's see. Oh no, knocking stuff over. All right, you fellas. I'm finding that as the weeks go by, I'm like a little bit more and more lax with preparing for where I'm going to set up my computer. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh, it's 2 o'clock, and now it's time for my live stream. You didn't have that many magazines. What I ended up doing was I did a digital collage. I went online and just used Photoshop, and the collage that I made, I printed off. You can see my printer has some color issues, but bailed on the homework. No. So I got a bunch of photos from festivals and camping setup, like Rottweilers. My childhood dog was a Rottweiler. This is a really big art installation. It's been on my to-do list to learn how to weld so I can do big art installations like this. Up here is an image from the Oregon Eclipse. No, wait, that's not the Oregon Eclipse Festival. Well, at Oregon Eclipse, we had big, giant, cool tents like that are art pieces themselves. We've got a tree house up here in the woods, this pretty fern, gardening out here because I like my plants. My Rottweilers, like I said, my childhood dog was a Rottweiler, and I plan on having another one. Little camping pods, campfires out by the lake, people dancing in the rain. I love to dance. Oh, this girl chilling at the ocean. The ocean is my happy place. It's where I go to reset. I go and I listen to the water. It's really good for anxiety. Campfire by the ocean. A cute little tent with lights. Another one. Another music festival. And up here, this really pretty resort. So as you can see, my world revolves around animals and music and the outdoors and dancing. And this is what I ended up for my collage. And this actually does tie directly into my vision of my future. I'm not at a place where I'm ready to talk about what my plans are for the future, but you can be damn sure it relates to all of this. Definitely planning on living a art-centered music, outdoor. I've got a plan, you guys. So I don't have my way to get there entirely mapped out, but I have a very good idea for how I'm going to do it. So I had a lot of fun with this. Sandra, yeah, you're right. I had a great time planning out my collage, and I just what I found to be a little bit more freeing about the collage, just picking images off the internet, is I could just search for words that just came to me. It was like I just thought about past, present, future, and I was like, oh God, the woods, oh ferns, oh I love ferns, oh gardening, oh I love gardening. Another really cool thing about cutting them out of a magazine is that you're not searching for something, you're just selecting something that resonates with you. So I think I would like to make a collage out of magazines, but like Sandra said, I didn't have any magazines, so this is what I did instead. But I think doing it from magazines would be really fun as well, because you're going to get stuff that just resonates with you that you don't have to be cognizant of and like search for a word. So I had a really good time with this. And so this is my past, present, and future. And these things are all pretty timeless. It's music, people, art, animals, outdoors. So very, very wholesome. I'm a wholesome person. Let's see. You guys are blowing up my chat. What's up? What's up? So, Zandra didn't do homework because she wasn't feeling too good. I'm going to do it sometime. Yeah. I say that. This painting behind me, I freaking have been meaning to paint on it since like I started this live stream with you guys, and I just keep finding really good excuses for why I haven't. And let me tell you, I'm getting pretty sick of my own excuses here. Hi, Kim. She says she signed up for a welding class. What? See, and I was going to do that this year too. I wanted to go and learn how to weld this year. But I have other things to keep me occupied, so it's not like I don't have anything else to do. I'm sure it's the same for you. Wait, you bought 4 what? And she suggests, Sandra says she bought 4 of something when she suggests 20. I don't understand what you're talking about, but it's understandable. Yeah, like that's what this whole book is about, is like us being like, you know, well, who am I? Like, it's like what I said to you. Who am I to teach you guys, you know, being someone who struggled with creative blocks myself, I think that presents me with a unique opportunity to relate the content to what I've experienced and then share that with you. But it's the same thing. Like, you know, I think everybody deep down has that small voice that they need to conquer that says, I'm not unique, I'm not special. So, you know, I think that that's something that's can be universally applied to everyone. You know, everybody's got to overcome that. And that's what this is all about. So I think thank you for sharing that, that reasoning with me and the group here. I think that can only benefit us. Yeah, I think I think that I thought she said to allow yourself 20 minutes to do it. I didn't see anything about a limit of magazines, but I think you could definitely do your collage with just 4 magazines. Don't let something stop you. Like I said, I didn't have any magazines and I just used what I had, and I still came up with something that I thought was cool. So I think if you have 4 magazines, you can still do it. So maybe just, and like oh yeah. So this was really fun. And there's other tasks in here that relate to your collage that you can't do the task until you do the collage. So I think that, Zandra, I would encourage you to go ahead and do that. And then, like, I'm excited. I'm going to post this up on my wall or something because I'm like, oh, these images just make me happy. So it's good, right? Find images that make you happy. We got a few people in here. Let's see. So yeah, don't let your limited resources stop you from doing the task. Just go ahead and do the task with what you have available to you. And honestly, I think a big part of being creative is using what you have. I know a lot of times it's easy to be like, oh, well, I don't have the resources, so I can't. And a lot of times it really is a legitimate reason to why you're not able to do something. But where there's a will, there's a way. And I definitely encourage you to just don't stop yourself from doing something because you're afraid it's not going to be good enough or that you don't have all the resources. Just try with what you have and then move on. The action is really what it's more about, I think, than the result. Because I had a lot of fun. So, woohoo! So then, did anybody go to their sacred space? So in here, she gives you an example of like a grove of trees. Like I said, my sacred space is just going to the beach and listening to the water. I live in the Pacific Northwest. Even in like December, I would go to the beach all bundled up in my coat, and it's like way windier at the beach. And I just go to the beach and just sit there until I felt better. Like, because sometimes I'll get like anxiety about stuff, and I'll just go to the beach for 45 minutes, and I'm like, I'm not leaving until I'm feeling a little bit better. And you can sit and meditate. You can just sit there and listen. You don't have to do anything. Just sit there and be with yourself. If anybody has a story to share about their sacred space, what they like to do, feel free to shout out in the comments, because we would all love to hear, I think, variety in hearing everybody else's opinions and everybody else's experiences is really helpful. It just really just serves to punctuate, and everybody has a different learning style also. So something that resonates with me might not resonate with you. So I really appreciate more quantity. So the larger the quantity of things that you can hear is the better chance that something's going to resonate with you. So Zandra says she wanted to do that. Well, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah. There are some things that I didn't do this week that I really wanted to, but I didn't, and well, just move on and decide to do it this week. So I think that's a good attitude. Just refocus this week. Just let it go. Don't worry about it. We're all in this with the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows. And what I think is really interesting, Zandra, is that my feelings come and go, right? So I think that at the heart of this, what this is teaching us is it's allowing us to watch how we are. 1 minute we're like driven, oh yeah, gung-ho, I'm gonna do this. And then like the next week, like maybe you're like a little bit more laggy and you're like, wow, well, I didn't do it all, or I waited to the last minute, or this or that. And it really just this whole process, this whole 12-week process is going to allow us to be cognizant and see how it is that we are showing up for ourselves, or how we're not showing up for ourselves. And, are we allowing our emotions in the moment to stop us from showing up? So for example, I had a few days where all that I did was come home after work and watch TV and get stoned. I say that a lot. But then I had other days where I came home and all that I did was work for like 6 hours straight after I got off work. But that's just kind of my style, I guess. I'm really realizing that I do things in a chunking method. So my time is more of one large chunk than multiple small chunks. So that's something that I have to work with on myself is, okay, if there is something that I need to be doing every day, then regardless of if I feel like it or not, then I need to really say, you're doing this right when you get home, because if you say you're going to do it in an hour and you don't, then it's going to be harder to have that moment of reset. So like when I walk in, when I walk out of work and into my car, that's a completely different situation, and I get to reset in that moment. So when I walk out of my car and I walk into my apartment, that's a completely different situation, and I get to reset in that moment. So setting my intention when I'm changing that venue is something that for me, I'm wanting to do. So I've noticed that if I have a friend that's going to the park and I'm like, okay, yeah, let's go social distance at the park, and I prioritize that before my other stuff, then I know that I'm going to stay at the park until it's time for me to go home and probably go to bed. So that's some things that I've been able to notice about myself, and what is it that I personally need to stay on track. So this is my long-winded response to you in saying, okay, well, maybe that's the case, that you do need to refocus. But there's also something about being honest with ourselves and saying, I allowed my emotion of I don't feel like it, or my artist block of, this is the first initial step is hard for me. So rather than take that first initial step, I'm going to avoid it and do something else. And I'm not trying to point the finger at anybody. I'm merely saying this is what I do and what I've noticed in myself, in the hopes that it's going to be something that you can relate to, and that something that you can digest on your own and break apart and break it apart and see which pieces you relate to and how you can use the things that I'm doing, and the things that I'm noticing. Oftentimes, examples are really helpful for people to apply information. Yeah. Well, that's what the book is doing for me. Zandra, this perspective that I'm saying is, okay, I'm able to see how I'm avoiding doing the things that are important to me, and then how I'm able to wield not doing something against myself. And I'm able to see, well, if I do this, it's just like, anyway, I think I'm talking in a circle now, and I'm starting to repeat myself by trying to confirm what you've said. So I think maybe I'll just move on at this point, because I already vocalized that. But yeah, no. So hopefully that's something that can help. I don't know. I'm very like, ooh, what are you doing here? Analytical. There we go. All right. Did anybody else go to a sacred place? I ended up just sitting in my garden and, oh wait, no. I wrote this down. So my little sacred place. Oh yeah. I also did like little mini artist dates for my sacred place. Like I went and I played with fans to where, I'm learning fans. So I went and I played with those for hours at a time. And that was a way for me to connect with my body and learn a new skill and remove my mind from other things. So it was a little bit like a meditative thing. I did do some meditations. I went for a bike ride. So that was like my little mini artist date this week. I did a lot of indulging this week. And indulging in things that weren't necessarily artistic, but that I had a desire to do, and I think that's okay. Another task that we covered this week was creating a wonderful smell in your house. One thing that I really like to do is I have, I think it's called Nag Champa. It's that wood that you burn, and it's like an incense. And then I light my candles, and it gets all smell goody in here. And that's really, like, just making your space smell good is really inviting and nice. So that was one of the tasks I did that too. Oh, another one was wearing your favorite item of clothing, even if it wasn't for a special occasion. I have this fur vest that is like my favorite thing. And I got it at Goodwill in Wilsonville, Oregon for like $20. And it is like my favorite piece of clothing. I've had it for years. And normally it's something I would just wear to like a festival or something. Because, normies just look at you and they're like, oh, weird girl in a bunch of fur and fringe or whatever. But I dressed up in my fur vest and I went to the park and I spun my fans with my friends, and it was great. I felt more like myself in that moment than I have in a while. when I go to work. I work at a coffee shop in a very kind of conservative area. So when I go to work, I kind of just dumb down my clothes. So after work, it's nice to be able to express myself. And since we haven't been able to do like a lot of social activities and, because of the quarantine, it was really nice for me. So if anybody has anything about dressing up or doing any of the other tasks, if there's anything you'd like to share, please go ahead in the comments and put it in there. Another one that I did was the collage. We just talked about that already. Kim, did you end up doing your collage, or did anybody else? Oops, mine's upside down. So I also did a list of my 5 favorite films, and it asks us to see about let's see. So it says, quickly list 5 favorite films. Do you see any common denominators among them? Are they romances, adventures, period pieces, political dramas, family epics, thrillers? Do you see traces of your cinematic themes in your collage? So the traces of my themes in my collage, I'll just list out my favorite movies. They're Lord of the Rings, Everything is Illuminated, V for Vendetta, Harry Potter, and Stardust are some of my very favorite movies. I have a lot of very favorite movies, but I listed those out. And the common denominators in them are adventure, idealism, and solidarity. Some very important subjects to me. And I think I see them in here. I like to go. Making art is about solidarity and often idealism for me. These festivals are about adventure, and being in the woods is also about solidarity. Gardening, solidarity. Dancing in the rain, adventure. Going in the woods, exploring new places, festivals, adventure, idealism, solidarity. Also, one of the main themes of the festivals that I really enjoy is idealism. A lot of the events that I go to, I like to volunteer at. And so the volunteer, if you ever get a chance to volunteer at a festival, I really recommend you do. You're going to meet some really cool people that care a lot about what they're doing. The people that volunteer just really want to be a part of it. It makes you feel like you belong there, and it really makes you realize that the core values of these events are people being connected, people caring for one another, and art and music, and just the love of expressing yourself. And that is truly, truly what I think I appreciate in all those movies and the events and the things that I enjoy doing. So if anybody wants to share their movies and whatnot as well, we have some comments here I need to catch up on. Zandra did the smell one, and she got a vanilla candle, and it smelled great, and then it instantly gave her a headache. Oh no! That's terrible. Sometimes the candles, you don't really realize how pungent they are. I used to work at Bed Bath & Beyond, and one time I was given the task of organizing the candle wall, and I don't know if you have, well, this particular Bed Bath & Beyond, it was like 20 feet by 20 feet of a candle wall. Like, it's like literally just walls of scents, and I had the worst headache. I can't overdo it with the smell. So if you find a smell that is pungent to you, that sucks. I can relate. At the end of reorganizing the whole candle wall, I had the worst headache for like a week. It was insane. And so I'm like, okay, Yankee candles, not my friend. But hopefully you found some candles that don't give you a headache. You wore your cat suit, Zandra. That's good to hear. And colored contacts. Oh my gosh. So colored contacts are really cool. I've been wanting a pair of those. And now that I got LASIK last year, I'm like, okay, I can get some for a decent price because the prescription colored contacts are really expensive. Kim says she did her collage, all outdoor photos, fire pit, seating areas, and green space. So Kim and I are kind of like connected on that. Like, we're the outdoors, and nature is really good for us. I love that. Oh, Zandra loves Stardust.
Oh, cool. We listed the same movie. That's cool. Oh, silly Walmart candles. Oh, that's so funny that we both picked Stardust on our movies. Mm, yeah, performance drag. Ooh. So if you do like performance stuff, you should let me know. That sounds really cool. What kind of contacts are they like? What color? What color? I want like the the ones that are like white out totally freak me out, but I think those would be kind of cool for some of the stuff that I've looked at. Like I have a Pinterest board on creatures and characters, and I love Halloween. So, ooh, yellow cat eyes. That would be dope. Ooh, Zandra, I could see you rocking that. Definitely, definitely. That sounds cool. Aw, yellow cat. Sorry, I'm stretching. Um, that's cool. You bought the pair that you wanted, and I'm sure you'll expand your contact collection. It's always nice to have that one go-to, though. What about, let's see, the other one that I did was give your collage, well, I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to. Give your collage a place of honor. Even a secret place of honor is all right. In your closet, in a drawer, anywhere that is yours. You may want to do a new one every few months or collage more thoroughly a dream you're trying to accomplish. So I really hope that, so this collage is kind of the dream that I'm wanting to accomplish. Again, like I said, I'm not ready to talk about it, but I might do another collage specifically for that. I have several things I'm trying to bring into fruition. So I might actually just put this on my fridge. Or maybe, yeah, I might put it on the fridge. I think that'd be a good place. I look at it every day and just, good things, good things. Oh my gosh, goat eyes. Oh, Sandra says her yellow colored cat eyes keep rotating like a goat. I think goats are so cute, and then you go and you look at their eyes and you're just like, why do I feel like you're evil now? But I think they're very cool. Ooh boy. All right, how about our check-in? We already kind of did a little bit of our check-in here. So how many days did you do your morning pages? Have you allowed yourself to daydream a few creative risks? And are you coddling your artist child with childhood loves? I'm definitely coddling my artist child. I think I did 5 out of 7 morning pages. I was also doing a meditation challenge, a 21-day meditation challenge that ended, and that did the morning pages as well. So that kind of helped me combine the 2 challenges. So every day I had a meditation challenge as well as like a little piece of writing. And I combined that from the meditation with my morning pages. And it was actually really cool because it kind of goes along with the whole vibe of what we're doing. So I really enjoyed that. And, my creative loves, I've been watching like this kind of mystery thriller that has to do with a comic book that I used to read when I was a kid. So that's been really fun to watch that play out. Daydreaming a few creative risks. I definitely have been daydream and enacting some creative risks. I'm working on that second motion graphic project. I really wanted it to be done by now. And again, like I said, I'm watching myself and seeing how when I get home, choosing to do other things and saying, oh, I'll do it in an hour isn't working for me. So this week I'm going to reset with that and say, okay, I have this project that I want to do and I need to do it first. So prioritizing my creative risks. I guess that was a little bit of a tangent rabbit. But anyway, did you do your artist date this week? Did you use it to take any risks? What did you do and how did it feel? So I was working on my motion graphic and I was working on a new way to do my intro credits for it. So referencing the music artist and as well as referencing myself and incorporating that into my actual design rather than just trying to do it as a standard stinger, which is like the bottom part of your screen that's animated with a graphic, like you see on the news. It's like CNN and they have like their little newsreel. Instead of doing it that way, I tried to incorporate the artist credits into the design. So that's kind of like my next logical step in my process. So I was playing around with that and I was really happy with it. And I even, I kind of left it in a weird jumbled spot because I had to go to bed, but we all have to work. So that's my next step, is finishing that and then incorporating it. And I got to bundle all of it together. Synchronicity this week. I wrote down some synchronicity. I had a lot of, it was just more general well-being synchronicity, in that, I expected good and I received good. I expected connection with my peer and community, and I received it. I have been working on generating I've been encouraging the connection between myself and like-minded people. And the synchronicity that I got this week was just a whole lot of like-minded people, really caring about the same things, and that sense of community really, really grew for me. I spoke up about some things that normally I would just kind of lay low on, and I've been wanting to find more of my voice, and so that made me feel really good. I had a need to earn a little bit extra money to compensate for some costs for things, and that actually showed up for me. So that was really cool. And then also just generally, like I said, expecting good and receiving good. And I think that that's really, at this point for me, last week was kind of unquantifiable. There was a lot of that for me. And then any other issues this week that you consider significant for your discovery or recovery, describe them. And it's just more about accepting where I am. It's like you and I were talking about, Zandra, earlier, we are where we are. So if you need to refocus, then you need to refocus, but there's no need to go and be like, woulda, shoulda, coulda. And to be honest with you, I'm definitely relating to you in that this week, because I could have done more last week. I see the times where I chose to not prioritize it and went out and played instead, but I think it's cool that we're able to have this discussion, and you can tell me how you felt and I can tell you how I felt, and we can kind of see, oh, well, we're just still kind of on the same page, and there's really no use in woulda, shoulda, couldas, because all we have is this now in this moment. So it was like last night I was watching a show and I was like, I have a couple hours to get up and do something, but I was just like, I'm just tired. And so I chose to just relax. And sometimes just going easy on ourselves is okay. I don't know. There's a lot of things I want to do, but we don't have time for all of it. So you just got to accept where you are. All right. Anybody else have anything to say about the check-in? Because that's all that I have to say about the check-in. That was our week in review. Zandra, per your request last week, I wanted to make more time for reviewing our previous week, since you said that that's something that you really enjoy. So I hope that this so I hope that this fulfills that request, and I think that I agree with you. Having more time to do that is actually getting more of a connection and dialogue between us. Sandra says, if there was more time for everything, I'd be a chemist. What? Okay. I love it. A chemist. I wouldn't have guessed that. Kim is distracted. They're live streaming a protest downtown where our studio is. Oh, Kim, trust me. I was watching my friends' live streams at the protests all day yesterday. Like, it was literally like from 1 p.m. until like 11 o'clock at night. I was sitting there watching stuff. I had a lot of friends go to the protest in Seattle yesterday, and there was a lot of very peaceful presence there. And then there was some talk of some, people infiltrating it and blowing stuff up. And it sounds like a lot of it was like white supremacists, and very, very sad, very distracting. I hear you, Kim. No worries, no worries. Yeah, so if you go to my Facebook page, you'll see all the crap I was posting yesterday. I followed several people, watched several people's live streams on the protests. A lot of the destruction was caused by people just trying to cause trouble. A lot of the stuff that happened was I'm not going to get into it. You guys, it was very sad to watch. My heart goes out. I really hope that, all these protests are making a difference, because there's a lot of corruption. So, yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, you guys could hear the choppers. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on. Definitely a lot of different viewpoints on what happened. Definitely a lot of different people expressing themselves in different ways, but for the most part, it was peaceful. And it's very sad to me to see that a lot of the news was only focused on the destructive parts, and a lot of it was very biased, and they didn't show the full story of what was happening. So, yeah. Anyway, we're not going there. Yeah. Anyway. So, week 8, recovering a sense of strength. This is what we're going to be talking about moving forward. That concludes our recap of week 7. As Zandra said, congratulations. We're about 2/3 of the way through. This is awesome. You guys have stuck with me. We're really getting through good content. Week 8. This week tackles another major creative block: time. You will explore the ways in which you have used your perception of time to preclude taking creative risks. You will identify immediate and practical changes you can make in your current life. You will excavate the early conditioning that may have encouraged you to settle for far less than you desire creatively. So the first topic is survival, and that's like allowing your inner artist to survive through whatever you have experienced and heard that could break you down. And a lot of that negativity can, unfortunately, come from intellectuals, teachers, and the like. And unfortunately, there's that quote, hurt people hurt people. Oh, Kim, thank you. I'm happy to be here. And extending past the prescribed time frame, I'm totally fine with talking for as long as you want to talk. And I appreciate you all telling me I'm an awesome facilitator. I'm really glad to hear that. I think that's a really nice thing to say, and I really appreciate that my efforts are acknowledged, because I do want to show up for you guys. And like I said, showing up for you is also showing up for me, and you guys showing up for you is also you guys showing up for me. So thank you guys. Appreciate it. And we can talk as long as you guys want to talk. I know we've had varied live stream times between 45 minutes all the way up to an hour and a half. I actually, and to be honest, this has a lot more examples in it this week. So yeah, sure. Let's do whatevs, guys. Oh my gosh, I keep like moving my feet in a way to where I'm going to kick my table. Let me actually adjust here. Well, I appreciate that. Oh, you want to go past the 12 weeks? Yeah, we can just keep thinking of new content to cover. Oh, hey, hold on. guess what I have? I already have new content to cover. Start over? Nah, let's go to new. Wait, do you want to start over or do you mean cover different content? Because I'm more than happy to do an art-based live stream every Sunday. And I have art books up the yin yang, and I'm going to get two here. One of my customers at a coffee shop that I work at, or that I used to work at, gave me this. It's called The War of Art, and it's a very good book. New, I'm with you, new. So The War of Art covers a lot of some similar themes, and I think that this would be a nice transition past what we have here. Also, I have your. There's another one. I think it's called. There's another one that the same guy wrote, and the customer that gave it to me brought it into me and gave me an additional book. And it is. I have it. Oh, art. Oh, here it is. It's right here. Art and Fear. And this is the same guy. He wrote that. And you guys are going to like this. Either way, this is my Creative Anonymous. Love it. The War of Art's been on your list. Good morning, Jeremy. Welcome. Good morning. It's 2:48. It's all good, brah. You're all good. So this book, I love this. I'm so excited. Steal Like an Artist. I was at my friend's house and she's like, oh, you have to read this book, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, dude, can I borrow it? She's like, nah, you can't. I'm like, no, come on, let me borrow it. No, I can't. No, it's a really good book. We want it. We need to keep this. I'm like, okay, but you got to let me borrow it. So she finally let me borrow it. She's like, but you have to give it back to me. And then I ended up I freaking moved like 3 times or something. Like last year was super crazy for me. So like I just kept moving. I fucking stole this book from her. And then like a month ago, I texted her a picture of me with the book and I go, yo, you lost your book. I'm keeping it now. She just laughed. But I totally legitimately stole this book and I'm really proud of it. And she's never getting it back. So suck it, Crystal. Let's see. Steal Like an Artist was going to be your next read. That and his other book, Show Your Work. Okay, well, okay. So let's just keep meeting back here on Sundays at 2 o'clock, and I'll just do live streams on art shit for you guys. Thank you for suggesting it, Kim. I would love to continue. And you guys can, if anybody do you guys have any of these books? Because we can put it to a vote. They're very cheap. You can get them on Kindle. You can probably check them out from the library and get an e-read for free. The King County Library System here in Seattle is very good. They have lots of books that you can just check out digitally. You don't even have to go down there. Their digital library is pretty good. Show Your Work. Okay. And you should gift her one. But like, don't tell her, just buy it and mail it. Nah, I stole it. Maybe put a piece of art inside. I might do that, but honestly, I probably won't. All right, you guys, if you don't have any of them, I can just read them to you, or you can buy them yourself and we'll make it work. But let's keep doing this and I'll see y'all there. Also, I have a book club group on Facebook and an art club group on Facebook that I've neglected. I might have to actually start utilizing them. Go ahead and pick up any of these books. All right. You guys can probably pretty easily take a screenshot. So it's The War of Art, Art and Fear, and Steal Like an Artist. We can just kind of Rochambeau, rock, paper, scissors, figure out which one we want to start with. Whatever, I'm down. So let me put these back on my shelf. Also, I have many other books. We can even do like a series where we just do like art exercises or something like that. But anywho, taking off my slippers, got distracted. Very excited about you guys wanting to do another live stream, so thank you. Appreciate it so much. So again, we're covering time, one of our big blocks. The first subject in this chapter is survival. And I'm just going to go ahead and read you some of this. Let me see. I didn't do too much with my notes this week. So mostly just underlined a bunch of stuff and thought of anecdotes as I read it. But so all artists must learn the art of surviving loss, loss of hope, loss of face, loss of money, loss of self-belief. They are hazards of the road, and in many ways, it's signposts. Artistic losses can be turned into artistic gains and strengths. In order to move through loss and beyond it, we must acknowledge it and share it. Because artistic losses are seldom openly acknowledged or mourned, they become artistic scar tissue that blocks artistic growth. And, you know, this made me think of an anecdote. There's been a lot of struggle that I've had in my own life without shining a light on it. So I've had a lot of struggle in my life, and sometimes I will call my mom, my adopted mom. I met her as an adult, and I love her dearly, and she is my role model. My adopted mom, my mommy mom, I would like message her and be like, you know, I was going through a breakup. You know, I'm really sad. You know, I really miss them, blah, 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 blah. And like, she'd just be like, dude, paint your feelings. And I think that we can use anything in our lives as an artist block. So we can also use anything in our lives as artistic fuel. And that's what the subject, this chapter is going over, is how to utilize your emotions as a fuel rather than using it as a form of paralysis. That just popped in my head. But that was really helpful to have somebody tell me, paint your feelings, paint your feelings, paint your feelings, as her answer to me feeling like I couldn't do anything. So that was very helpful for me. And if you look at any of my paintings, you can see they're all very emotive. They're all very flowy. I paint in several different ways, but that particular type of painting is but very emotive. So next we have, Fyodor, I cannot pronounce this, Dostoevsky. Fyodor Dostoevsky says, taking a new step, uttering a new word is what people fear the most. What have I been saying? It's that initial starting step. It's that the energy that it takes to begin doing a task is harder than the energy needed to continue doing a task. And just liken it to getting up off the couch and exercising instead of sitting there and watching TV. It's the same damn thing. Same thing. We must remember that our artist is a child and that what we can handle intellectually far outstrips what we can handle emotionally. So logically speaking, we can understand things, and emotionally speaking, we can be stunted or childlike in how we handle things. One of the biggest things for me in becoming an adult was realizing how many adults are very childlike in how they handle their emotions. Not to say that I'm any better than anybody else, or not to say that I don't have my own struggles with handling emotions, but that was something that was very interesting to me. The older I got, I was like, dude, like all these people like just stopped growing. And it's funny because you get to a certain age and you're like, nah, stuck in my ways, which that's your choice. But I want to continue to learn, and I want to continue to handle my emotions more intellectually and less reactionary, including my artist blocks, which is like, I'm very cognizant. No, not, what is that? Cerebral, that's the word. I like to overthink things, which can get me into trouble. So that's not necessarily, it can be a strength. But Sandra says, so many hurt people and aren't brave enough to heal the wounds they got as youths. Yeah, exactly. But it's your own choice, right? Regardless of how it affects other people. It's sad. The unmourned disappointments become the barrier that separates us from future dreams. The artist within, like the child within, is seldom hurt by truth. The artist thinks, oh wait, let me read more of this. We are childlike, not childish. Aha! Is often the accompanying inner sound when a well-placed, accurate, critical arrow makes its mark. The artist thinks, yes, I can see that. That's right. I can change that. And this is just highlighting how criticism can be constructive, right? So the student emerges, let's see. And we're in here talking about teachers and editors and mentors and how often authority figures or parent figures for a young artist can cause some damage. Like you're saying, Zandra, wounds you got as a youth. So, and like you said, hurt people, and this is a cycle. It just continues on. So there's a sacred trust inherent in the bonds between teacher and student. This trust, when violated, has the impact of a parental violation. What we are talking about here is emotional incest, which that sounds like a very bold word to use, but I think it's appropriate. So basically what we want to take from that is that, you can feel shamed and blocked from situations that happen to you if you don't process them. So here we have the ivory power, and this is the subject of those parents, teachers, mentors, people that have taken their own hurts and internalized them and dealt with them in ways and stayed blocked. And then now as teachers have become so cerebral about it that they then discourage rather than encourage via your work as a teacher. So your work as a student is looked at in this system where it's systematically broken down and things are pointed out with, you should have done this, you should have done that, rather than, oh wow, I really like this about your work that you've created. And here, I think maybe you can take it to the next level if you try this. So that's more of an encouraging way. The ivory power, yeah, so she calls it the ivory power. So the ivory power, that's in reference to people in a teaching environment, in the academic environment. So it's like an Ivy League school is what it makes me think of. So I'm not quite sure if there's I don't know ivory power. I'm liking it from reading the content where underneath the title, it's looking like a scholastic meaning, but I don't really know because that sounds weird. Many academics are themselves artistic beings who are deeply frustrated by their inability to create. Skilled in intellectual discourse, distanced by that intellectual skill from their own creative urgings, they often find the creativity of their charges deeply disturbing. I am thinking particularly of a film department chair of my acquaintance, a gifted filmmaker who for many years had been unable or unwilling to expose himself to the rigors and disappointments of creating. Channeling his ferocious creative urges into the lives of his students, he alternately over-controlled and undercut their best endeavors, seeking to vicariously fulfill or justify his own position on the sidelines. That's a lot to unpack, but we'll continue through it here. His own thwarted creativity, so luminous in his early films, had darkened to shadow first his own life and then the lives of his students. In the truest sense, he was a creative monster. So essentially, this person was creatively blocked and then got to a point to where they were an instructor and then continued that cycle where the people under him would do things creatively and then they would be shut down in the same way that he was shut down, right? So it's not just that cycle. Academia harbors a far more subtle and deadly foe to the creative spirit. Outright hostility, after all, can be encountered. The subtle discounting that may numb student creativity in the academic grove. So here over on the side, we have an Albert Einstein quote. Imagination is more important than knowledge. All right, since you pointed that out, Zandra, it's bothering me. Let's look up the Ivory Power. Like I said, it sounds like a scholastic. The Ivory Power meaning. So the Ivory Power meaning, a state of privileged seclusion or separation from the facts and practicalities of the real world. Oh, that's Ivory Tower. Ivory Power. So I think the Ivory Tower might be synonymous with the Ivory Power here, but I'm not finding, what does ivory mean in literature? I'll see, that's just like a straight up. Ivory Power, sexual harassment on campus. The counselor, helper, intellectual seducer, opportunist, and power broker roles required by definition a power differential. Oh, so it's referring to, it's not Ivory Tower. So Ivory Power, in there's like an excerpt in 1990 from Michelle Antoinette Paludi, and it's saying that the Ivory Power is the counselor, helper, intellectual seducer, opportunist, and power broker roles require by definition a power differential. The power element is more, so what it is the Ivory Power, it's that abuse of power, according to that. Yeah, it's not tower though, it's power. And I did find an excerpt from 1990. I think this is an older term that might be a little out. This is from The Artist's Way. So, and if you're referring to what I read, it's from, there's an actual book called Ivory Power, Sexual Harassment on Campus. And it's Michelle Antoinette Paludi. We're getting off track here. Let's go back. But again, it looks like it's an abuse of power. Ivory Power is that you have been given power and now you're taking that and misusing it. Seems to be the meaning from what I've read. So hopefully that makes some sense. And if you guys want to dig into that on your own, you can probably go and take a look at that a little deeper. I didn't pre-job that. So that kind of made me stop and second guess it too. But I understood inherently, I think that that's what it meant. So I just kind of, because if you look, if we continue through this content, you'll see what she means. Okay. Academia harbors a far more subtle and deadly foe to the creative spirit. Outright hostility, after all, can be encountered. Far more dangerous, far more soul-chilling is the subtle discounting that may numb student creativity in the academic grove. And this is this is what she's talking about, Ivory Power. So I think it sounds like a, anyway, let's move on. So Claudia Black says, surround yourself with people who respect and treat you well. And Frances Wicks says, to the rationally minded, the mental processes of the intuitive appear to work backwards. So, and what that's saying is if you utilize your intuition, that it can seem like it's backwards than if you're like more from an intellectual standpoint. But I think that there's a way, I think that there's a way that you can marry the two healthily. So the people that abuse their power in this way, they neglected to supply the most rudimentary nutrient, encouragement. To be blunt, most academics know how to take something apart, but not how to assemble it. I could kind of argue that maybe they know how, they just aren't in the habit of doing it, and they're more likely to break something down just out of habit and unconsciousness, or possibly they're just cruel. I don't know. Some people are. Student work, when scrutinized, was seldom appreciated. Far from it. Whatever its genuine accomplishments, it was viewed solely in terms of its shortfalls. Now, this is talking about student work, like you as a student trying to learn some things, and this is how you're treated, right? Time and again, I saw promising work met with a volley of should have dones, could have dones, and might have dones, instead of being worked with as it was. So saying, hey, I like these pieces of it. Let's move forward with those. And I think that we could have a better display of, or a better illustration of what you mean by adding such. Now that's a good teacher, not somebody that just breaks it down. You suck. Like you see those sitcoms or you know, kind of soap opera-y things where it's like, you know, the students are abused by their teachers. You know, there's movies about it. This shit happens. You know, there's nasty people out there. Intellectualism runs counter to creative impulse. For an artist to become overly cerebral is to become crippled. What? This is not to say that artists lack rigor, rather that artistic rigor is grounded differently than intellectual life usually admits. This is why I'm like, the people that want you to act in their way of normal, it's so unfair. People that think that you have nothing in common just because you think differently, like that's unfair. You know, this is a really terrible phrase, but there are many ways to skin a cat. Terrible phrase. But, you know, I mean, you approach something one way, I approach it another. That's why when you go to school for like traditional art and stuff, a lot of creative people are like, this is it, the Ivory Power. You go to a traditional art school, and a lot of these people are so creative and like they flunk out of art school, and then you see their stuff. Like there's somebody I follow on YouTube, and it's just like, dude talks about like how like he passed art school, but like had such a hard time, and his teacher said he'd never go anywhere. And then like the dude is producing these amazing things. It's like, you guys suck. You know, why are you a teacher if you're not trying to actually facilitate and lift people up? There's no reason. Same with the healthcare industry. Why are you in the healthcare? Because it's a secure job. You're not trying to actually keep people safe, right? So Zandra says, I'm renaming this week Word because there is so much. I'm way too familiar. Word, Zandra, word. I feel you. Oops. Oh man, don't kick my table. So we got a little quote here. Miss Diane Marie Child says, trust that still small voice that says, this might work, and I'll try it. Back to these teachers here, these mentors, these people that, you know, Shamed by their grandiose dreams, the young artists may channel their gifts into commercial endeavors and then forget their dreams of doing more groundbreaking and risky work. They may work as editors instead of writers, film editors instead of film directors, and commercial artists instead of fine artists, and get stuck within shouting distance of their dreams. Often, audacity, not authentic talent, confers fame on an artist. The lack of audacity, pinched out by critical abuse or malnourished through neglect, may cripple many artists far superior to those we publicly acclaim. Word! Sandra, in the comments, can I get an amen? Word. We must acknowledge and mourn the scars that are blocking us. The process may seem both painstaking and petty, but it is a necessary rite of passage. She says, thank you for playing along. Yeah, so acknowledging, like just me like coming in here and being like, yo guys, this is what I did this week. This is how I feel. That in itself is a way to acknowledge and share, help somebody else, and then you can move on and move forward from it and not dwelling on it. I'm not asking you, and Julia's not asking you to dwell on this stuff. It's, wow, this hurt is there. This is what happened. Let's mourn it and let's move on, and more on that throughout this chapter. So this is good stuff, you guys. Many times as artists, we are offered a chance that we balk at. Balk, B-A-L-K, how do you pronounce that? Balk at, sabotaged by our fear, our low self-worth, or simply our other agendas. I like to put so much stuff on my to-do list that I look at the thing and I'm like, fuck it. And I don't do any of it. That is self-sabotaging. One thing at a time. Oof. I feel like I keep saying the same things in these live streams, but, you might have something a little different than what I have that I'm struggling with. So feel free to share that too. I know you guys are pretty good about being involved. So those lost chances often haunt us bitterly in our later years. We'll work more extensively later with our artistic U-turns, but for now, just counting them as losses begins the process of healing them. It's like I'm saying, through the past, I'd be like, oh yeah, I want to do this. And then all of a sudden somebody offers me a gig doing that. I have a mural opportunity coming up and I was like, I want to do more murals. And all of a sudden one of my customers is like, yo, you do art? Yeah, okay, hey, come down here and do this mural. And so that's on the back burner. Maybe in July I'll be doing that. So just so you guys know, as I have these projects coming up, we may move our live stream to a different day if I need to utilize my weekend days for working on stuff, but just for later. So gain disguised as loss. I think that this is the most important part of this chapter. Like I said, we're not trying to dwell on the shortcomings and we're not trying to dwell on what's holding us back. We're trying to reframe it. We're trying to look at it, say, okay, that was sad. I wish I would have done that and process it. But part of processing it is figuring out how that loss is really a gain for us. And have you heard that term? It wasn't a waste of your time if you learned something. And that's exactly what we're going to be employing here with this subject. So art is the act of structuring time. Look at it this way, a piece of art says. Here's how I see it. So when we're dealing with artistic loss, every loss must always be viewed as a potential gain. It's all in the framing. It's all in how you frame it. We need to focus on what lies ahead. Gain disguised as loss is a potent tool. To acquire it, simply brutally ask, how can this loss serve me? Where does it point to my work? It's just like I said about last year, it was really hard for me. And I would talk to my mom and she'd be like, paint your feelings. And then, because I'd be avoiding painting because I was so sad. And she'd be like, paint your feelings. And so then I'd sit down and I'd cry and I'd paint and I'd get some cool art out of it. And, I'm really grateful for her for being brutally honest with me and saying, paint your damn feelings, girl. Like, stop. So tough love, baby. Gain disguised as loss. I grew a lot from that, Everything I've been through, I've grown a lot from it because I've been able to reframe into how can I learn from this? How can this be a gain to me? I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't go through all that crap. I wouldn't, as Kim said, she complimented me on my facilitator status. And, maybe if I hadn't gone through so many situations where I felt unheard, maybe I wouldn't be as good of a listener or a facilitator or whatever. So there's definitely strength in your experiences that you've gotten, and we need to acknowledge that and celebrate that. But it's hard when again, not condemning anything. I've definitely had my times of processing and sadness, and I haven't always been this able to talk about things like this. So again, perspective, reframing it. That's a whole task in itself. So the trick is to metabolize pain as energy. The key to doing that is to know, to trust, and to act as if a silver lining exists if you are only willing to look at the work differently or to walk through a different door, one that you may have balked at. In order to catch the ball, you have to want to catch the ball. Like the act of catching it. Like you can say, oh, I really wish I was a good catcher. But if you don't really want to work at being able to catch it, then you'll never catch it. Like you don't really want to catch it. You just want to be able to say that you caught it. I think is what she's saying. There's like a difference in there. Because I asked how instead of why me, I now have a modest first feature to my credit. Oh, she's talking about making a film. I learned when hit by loss to ask the right question. What next instead of why me? So what is the next logical step? So, okay, you're not where you want to be. Okay, so it's light years away, it seems. But what's the next logical step to getting there? Whenever I'm willing to ask what is necessary next, I have moved ahead. Whenever I've taken no for a final answer, I have stalled and gotten stuck. I have learned that the key to career resiliency is self-empowerment and choice. Oof. Oof. When I walk in the door, do I choose to do my work before I go and play? If the answer is yes, I feel good. If the answer is no, I need to really realize, well, maybe I needed to take the day off, or maybe I need to stop making excuses. Whenever one avenue for creativity is blocked, you can find another. Rather than allow yourself to be blocked, you can look for the other door. And, don't let the bastards get you down. The key here is action. Pain that is not used profitably quickly solidifies into a laden heart, which makes any action difficult. I can attest to this. If I sit there and say, I want to do something, I don't strike while the iron's hot. I get that creative impulse and I don't go and I do it, even though I don't feel like it. I just want to lay here and be a lazy bum. I just want to sit here and cry. And my mom's like, go paint your feelings. I just want to sit here and cry. Go paint your feelings. You get up and you do it. And you can actually wield that energy into creating something positive. The key here is action. Pain that is not used profitably and quickly solidifies into a leaden heart, which makes any action difficult. It is truth. Can I get an amen, Zandra? Word. Now I'm just trying to see if you're still awake. When faced with a loss, immediately take one small action to support your artist. Even if all you're doing is buying a bunch of tulips and a sketch pad, your action says, I acknowledge you and your pain. I promise you a future worth having. And I'm going to go one step further on that. Woo, thank you. I'm going to go one step further on that. Just going to the store and buying a thing of tulips and buying a sketch pad, yes, that's good. But I'm also going to encourage you at that point to sit down and take 5 minutes and start your first drawing in it. Oftentimes I'll do something like going and buying a new sketchbook. And then when I get home, I just revert to old habits and then it sits in the corner. But it's really important to be like, okay, yeah, that is a step, but I also need to take the next step too. Baby steps. Show up for 5 minutes. You won't want to stop. So the next little category here is age and time, product and process. Age and time, product and process. Question. Oh, we already went over this before. Do you know how old I'll be by the time I learn to play the piano? Answer. The same age you will be if you don't. Oof. That hits home still for me. So we have a quote over here. Mr. Linus Pauling says, satisfaction of one's curiosity is one of the greatest sources of happiness in life. And I'm likening this to art as play, which is, what if I do this? Or what if I do that? Like in here, I've experimented in this painting. I started out with her and I liked her. And then I went, what if I do this? And what if I do that? And then I messed her all up and now I have to go in and fix her. But, you know, that was fun. I had fun playing with that. I saw it. What I did didn't work. But in here, I was experimenting in here and I was like, oh, what if I do this? What if I do that? Oh, and that actually worked. So this painting as a whole, like the entire thing, like is kind of like an experiment anyway. And I utilized practices of processes that I've used, and I've just added in more and continuing to experiment and allow art to be play. It's really important. So I'll let myself try it when I'm retired is an interesting side trip to an ego-saving track. As a culture, we glorify youth and allow our youth the freedom to experiment, and we disparage our old-timers but allow them the right to be a little crazy. Many blocked creatives tell themselves that they are both too old and too young to allow themselves to pursue their dreams. Creativity occurs in the moment, and in the moment we are timeless. We discover that as we engage in a creative recovery, I felt like a kid. We may say after a satisfying artist state, kids are not self-conscious. And once we are actually in the flow of our creativity, then we are not self-conscious either. As blocked creatives, we like to pretend that a year or even several years is a long, long time. Our ego plays this little trick to keep us from getting started. Instead of allowing ourselves a creative journey, we focus on the length of the trip or the end game. It's such a long way, we tell ourselves. It may be, but each day is just one more day with some motion in it. And that motion toward a goal is very enjoyable. At the heart of the anorexia of artistic avoidance is the denial of process. We like to focus on having learned a skill or on having made an artwork. This attention to final form ignores the fact that creativity lies not in the done, but in the doing. Word. I don't know when you type that, Sandra, but I like it. Keeps me going. Doing the work points the way to new and better work to be done, which is why, an artist's work is never done. You just have to decide on when to pull the plug. You just have to decide, I'm moving on to the next thing. So like for this painting, I have 2 sections to finish and I'm moving on. But you know how long I've been avoiding picking up that paintbrush to do it? Like, I just got to do it. Like, why don't I want to be done with that? I just got to take that action step and do it. Like, what? So it'll take me a few hours? Like, I haven't spent a few hours watching TV? Whatever. We do weird stuff in here. Focused on process, our creative life retains a sense of adventure. focus on product, the same creative life can feel foolish or barren. So getting back to enjoying that painting process, getting back to enjoying that writing process, getting back to enjoying the doing rather than focusing on the product. Of course, there's a time and place for that, but overall, quantity, not quality. Show up, do it, do it, do it, do it. It's hitting me hard today, hitting me hard. This book gets in my soul. Fixated on the need to have something to show for our labors, we often deny our curiosities. Every time we do this, we are blocked. Oh, Sandra, the process is where you became awesome. I like that. Ask yourself if you can acquire the humility to start something despite your ego's reservations. The beginner's humility and openness leads to exploration. Exploration leads to accomplishment. All of it begins at the beginning with the first small and scary step. This has made me realize how much I have disguised my own fear as laziness, quote unquote. This content has really, really, really shown me how I've done some really awesome things and I don't give myself enough credit. And then taking time out for myself is labeled as laziness. And then how I also turn the things that I'm afraid of into more of like a mindless self-indulgence to where I'm like constantly like lazy. When in reality, it's just me not acknowledging the hurts, right? It's me not acknowledging that the fear is there because I haven't actually processed that message that was delivered to me no matter what age I was. That was, basically a message of shortcoming. Sandra says, I think I'm going to just type word 50 more times just because we're going to go there. Kim says, I don't know who said this. One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. Oh, I really like that. To give birth to a dancing star, you must still have chaos in oneself. It's beautiful. Yeah, allowing yourself to not be perfect and accepting that perfectionism, right? I have not seen Rocket Man. I've seen, not the new one anyway. Some people that I worked with, one of the guys that owned the company, he was an actor and he starred in a independent film, Rocket Man. And I went and I saw that, but honestly, I don't remember the content. It was so long ago. And I don't know if you're referring to the new one. I'm sure this one was really small. I'm just going to read that again. The beginner's humility and openness led to exploration. Exploration leads to accomplishment. All of it begins at the beginning with the first small and scary step. Sandra says, quotable quote of the film is, I don't think you're afraid to write. I think you're afraid to feel. The Elton John biopic. Yeah. Oh, you're not afraid to write. You're afraid to feel. Yeah. I like that. Yeah, no, I haven't seen that. So the next topic we have is she labels as filling the form. What does she mean by filling the form? It's taking the next small step instead of skipping ahead to a large one for which you may not yet be prepared. Ouch, that hurts. Ouch, ouch, that hurts. Filling the form means that you write your daily pages. It means that when obsession strikes, as it will, about how the damn thing is not any good, you tell yourself that this is a question for later, and you turn back to doing what is the next right thing. And that means you write the pages of the play. You put that paint on the canvas. You show up to your computer to make your digital art. You show up to your computer to make your music. You show up to your instrument to make your music. You show up to practice. Ooh, Zandra and I, word for sure. Definitely use that one to sabotage myself too. That next small step. What is the next logical step? You know, a lot of creatives that I look up to have pretty consistently all said the same thing, and it's show up for yourself. And I say that too. And I'm really going to challenge myself to just take like an hour when I get home from work to do my creative work. Just an hour. If I do an hour a day, that's fine. And then I can go and do whatever else. And then, you know, if I have a day where I binge, that does not mean that the next day I can't show up for that hour. So I think I'm going to try and really employ that for myself so that I can continue to take these next logical steps, because it's really easy to skip a day and then you get focused on the big picture and then you get focused on that, you know, downward spiral that we all do. Self-sabotage. Okay. Filling the form means that when you write your daily pages, it means that when obsession strikes, as it will, oh, I already read that. If you break a screenplay down into daily increments, that small smattering of writing can get done quickly and promptly before your dirty laundry. Ooh, like when I choose to do the dishes, because I think a clean house is going to help facilitate that. And I'm like, no, I'm done with the dishes. Now I sit down. Here's looking at you, kid. Words, Andra says. Wait for it. Wait for it. If you and it can carry you through the rest of your day guilt-free and less anxious. It's like when I wake up and I work out and then I move on my day, I feel so much more energetic. Hey, sometimes it does though. That's right. Most of the time, the next right thing is something small. Washing your paintbrushes, getting your clay, checking the paper for a list of acting classes. As a rule of thumb, it's best to just admit that there's always one action you can take for your creativity daily. This daily action commitment fills the form. Blocked creatives like to think that they are looking at changing their whole life in one fell swoop. This form of grandiosity is very often its own undoing. Guilty! By setting the jumps too high and making the price tag too great, the recovering artist sets defeat in motion. Creative people are dramatic, and we use negative drama to scare ourselves out of our creativity with this notion of wholesale and often destructive change. Fantasizing about pursuing our art full-time, we fail to pursue it part-time or at all. Indulging ourselves in a frantic fantasy of what our life would look like if we were real artists, we fail to see that many small creative changes that we could make at this very moment. This kind of look at the big picture thinking ignores the fact that a creative life is grounded on many, many small steps and very, very few large leaps. Yeah. This kind of look at the big picture thinking ignores the fact that a creative life is grounded on many, many small steps and very, very few large leaps. Killing me softly. Killing me softly. I'm not going to sing it. I'm not doing karaoke here. Oh boy. Creativity requires activity, and this is not good news to most of us. It makes us responsible, and we tend to hate that. You mean I have to do something in order to feel better? Zandra's singing in the right? World's smallest violin. As a rule of thumb, the odds are what we used to procrastinate about doing As a rule of thumb, the odds are what we used to procrastinate about doing what comes next. This is our addiction to anxiety in lieu of action. Damn, Daniel. That's a quote from a song. Sandra should know that one. Wow. Watch yourself for a week and notice the way you will pick up an anxious thought, almost like a joint, to blow off or at least delay your next creative action. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Stop. I feel attacked. I feel attacked. What have I been saying to you guys? Oh, you don't know that song? Damn, Daniel. It's just like an EDM song. Like whatever. You can look it up. I think you'll find something. So let's say you've cleared a morning to write or paint, but then you realize the clothes are dirty. I'll just think about what I want to paint and fine tune it while I fold the clothes. You tell yourself. What you really mean is instead of painting anything, I will worry about it some more. Ouch. Somehow the laundry takes your whole morning. Ouch. Stop. You're killing me. Most blocked creatives have an active addiction to anxiety. We prefer the low-grade pain and occasional heart-stopping panic attack to the drudgery of small and simple daily steps in the right direction. Stop. Ooh. Can I get an amen? Can I get a that's me? Hey. Dude, what have I been saying? Like, I'm watching myself do this crap, you guys. Like, oh, I'm going to go to the park and play with my friends because I don't want to have FOMO. Oh. Oh, Sandra, your message got held for review. I have to approve your message. There you go. Whoa, word, she says. Kim, Sandra, and me, we are all in unison here. Let's see, you guys. Oof, what do you guys do to avoid the work? I've been telling you guys what I've been doing. What do you do? That anxiety, though, it's like it's like an addiction, right? So you can be addicted to negativity because it's comfortable, because it's what you know. Sandra says, I'm having to be creative with my words now, lest they lose their significance. Yes. Makes sense. You know, you say the same thing over and over again, and it's just going to be turn into white noise because everyone's used to hearing it, right? I don't know. Is that what you mean? That's what I think that you mean. Rather than take a big, scary step towards our dreams, we rush to the edge of the cliff and we stand there quaking, saying, I can't leap. I can't. I can't. Kim says she cleans her studio because everything has to be perfect. Oof. That's what you meant. Yeah. Yeah. You know what I do too is I refuse to finish a painting because I'm like addicted to that. Like I have 10 things that are 90% done and it's held over my head. Well, I'm used to feeling that way. And so one of the things that I've been doing to remedy that is instead of starting something new, so like I'll alternate. I think I already mentioned this before. So I have like stacks of paintings, not as big as they used to be. I used to have like a giant stack of paintings that were unfinished. But since I've been doing this over the last year, it's like been cut in half. So now what I do is I'll start a new painting and I'll finish it. And then I have to complete a painting that is unfinished before I'm allowed to start another new painting. And by this way, I'm still allowing myself to make new paintings, but I'm alternating a new painting with completing an old one. And slowly, that stack of old paintings has gone down. And I'm still able to continue on. Now, one thing that I want to do to supercharge this is I want to set a time limit for myself on paintings. No, Zandra, I meant finish one old painting, and then I'm allowed to start a new painting. And then finish an old painting, and then I'm allowed to start a new painting. So it's just every other one. But one thing that I want to do to supercharge that is I want to start setting time limits, right? Like I've been working on my speed for a while now, which teaching has helped me. increased my speed, and I'm actually a lot faster than I used to be. So now what I want to do is set time limits for projects on myself. So if I set a time limit on a project, it's done when it's done, and then I get to move on. And then that way I can continue completing those old projects and new projects, and also have it be a little bit more timely. You may not want to set a limit like that on yourself, depending on where you are creatively. Like it was saying, if you set the bar too high, sometimes you just won't even show up because it seems like it's too big. So really be careful and mindful about the goals you set for yourself. But part of that for me is I'm trying to do more quantity. And because I've been working on my quality and efficiency, I'm at a point to where I feel like that's an acceptable thing for me, and it's not a cruel thing for me to do to myself. So, and it's, again, breaking through. For me, what it's about is breaking through more of that perfectionism. I've worked really hard on getting over a lot of my perfectionism, but I want to break it down even further. So for me, that's what that looks like. Right. Yeah. So you don't want to set goals of quality. You want to set goals of like quantity. So like, if you approach a project with, this is an exercise, it's a lot easier. So one thing that I would try if I were you is when I'm trying to mock something up, and I'm not doing a digital mock-up, and I'm doing a mock-up on a piece of paper, I like to give myself more rudimentary tools, such as crayons and a piece of paper. So that way what you're forced to do is block in your form and your colors and nothing else. It takes away that ability to even paint or to even add the detail. I hope that makes sense. So there are ways that you can really break down whatever it is you're doing and force yourself into doing more of a quantity thing. So again, instead of saying, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to paint a beautifully detailed painting, you can give yourself only large brushes, and you can say, I'm just doing drafts. And if you paint with just a large brush, I'm just doing drafts, this forces you to only go broad. And a lot of times what we need is to pull back and go broad rather than get fine-tuned on the detail, because that detail is that perfectionism. And so time limits, big brushes, giving yourself a sketchbook and a pen and saying you have 10 minutes and that's it, and releasing expectations. Rant over. I don't know. What tangents, you guys, tangents. So anyway, most blocked creatives have active addiction to anxiety. We prefer the low-grade pain and occasional heart-stopping panic attack to the drudgery of small and simple daily tasks in the right directions. So yeah, breaking it down. Simple, small, keep it simple. So let's do this, you guys. Let's take one small daily action instead of indulging in the big questions. When we allow ourselves to wallow in the big questions, we fail to find the small answers. What we are talking about here is a concept of change grounded in respect. Respect for where we are as well as where we wish to go. We are looking not to grand strokes of change, although they may come, but instead to the act of creatively husbanding all that is in the present, this job, this house, this relationship. Recovering creatives commonly undergo bouts of fierce rage and grief over their lost years. When these creative cries occur, we desperately want to kick over the traces and get the hell out of life as it is currently constituted. Instead, make changes, small changes, right where you are. Fill this form with creative care until it overflows into a newer, larger form, organically. As the poet Theodore Rothke phrases it, we learn by going where we have to go. We have found that when we fill the form, we do not often need to make large changes. Large changes occur in tiny increments. It is useful to think in terms of spaceflight. By altering the launch trajectory very slightly, a great difference can be made over time. Zandra says tangents are good, just like tangerines. Yum, yum, yum. Part of the fantasy of the artist is the big moments, but actually doing the work is so mundane, right? So when we want to rescue from reality, the idea of working seems like a letdown. Yeah, that's a really good point, and I agree with you. Yeah, so showing up, I don't know. So now in here we have early patternings and exercise. This is going to help us connect the dots between our present day losses and how they're connected with our earlier conditioning. So as children, you're basically a product of your environment. Obviously, you're your own person too, and that comes into play. But the things that you learn and absorb and how to react in society are often learned behaviors. That's why there's that phrase, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Sometimes it's drastically further out, but generally speaking, you know, we learn from our environment, and oftentimes our especially in like I'm gonna stop. Zandra says it's like that meme, Real Girls of Tumblr, and it's girls surfing the internet in oversized hoodies. Oh my god, that's funny. I haven't seen that. So we're asking in here to go through these workbooks. Have you guys been doing the fill in the blank workbooks? I found them to be really helpful. And I think that these exercises are really cool because you just write down immediately what you think, and then oftentimes it's not what you'd expect yourself to say. So I think that's really cool. So then we have some affirmations here that can help us affirm your right to practice your creativity. Because everybody has a right to be creative. Everybody has a right to express themselves, right? So select 5 affirmations and work with them this week. So I'm going to go ahead and read these. I am a talented person. I have a right to be an artist. I am a good person and a good artist. Creativity is a blessing I accept. My creativity blesses others. My creativity is appreciated. I now treat myself and my creativity more gently. I now treat myself and my creativity more generously. I now share my creativity more openly. I now accept hope. I now act affirmatively. I now accept creative recovery. I now allow myself to heal, and I now accept the universe's unfolding my life. I now believe the universe loves artists. Sandra says she's been doing the fill in the blanks in the workbooks. And she says that she did crash and burn on this week. So it was the positive section. Ooh, and I had a lot of negativity in it. Ooh, which is why my hanger didn't jive well. Well, you know, you can always go back and don't worry about going back, but just move forward. Just move forward and think about, okay, how can I be present when I'm doing this? And, you know, sometimes just doing a quick little meditation before you go through and do this stuff can help you be a little bit more present with yourself, and you can stay on track a little bit more. So I might suggest doing that. But no worries, we all have our days. Oh, I really like this quote, you guys. It says, I am in this world only for the purpose of composing. And that's Franz Schubert. And I really like this quote because he doesn't say, I am in this world only for the purpose of having composed a song I'm so proud of. He says, I am in the world only for the purpose of the act of composing, the action. Composing, that's an action phrase. So I really like that he's finding his purpose in the act of doing something. So it's not in that product. It's not in the final product. It's in the act of doing it. And I think this discussion this week has been really helpful for me because I've been, you know, when you're doing something and you're in the flow and it's your creative outlet and you're finding like a really good flow in it, and it's peaceful, it's fun, and you don't want to stop. That's really what he's talking about. It's that fulfillment in the action. I mean, I would like spend hours at my art studio, like just painting. I mean, like 4 hours is a really long time to paint. 6 hours is a really long time to paint. And sometimes I'll even paint for 8 hours straight. That is a really long time to paint. And by the end of the 8 hours, I'm done. But the point is you can get into that flow. And that's really what I think this entire book is about, is getting into that place where you're enjoying the creativity and you're allowing yourself to enjoy the creativity because you've actually pushed through that initial pain of, or resistance of not wanting to start. That's my mic drop. That's it. That's what I got for you guys. There's tasks in here. You have a little workbook to do. It's very short. It's 20. Just again, go through it and just think really quickly, like, what is the answer? And go through here. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to tell you guys what I'm going to do this week. And I'm going to have to do it. When I get home from work, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to review this, and I'm going to do my pages, and I'm going to do my book. And I need to have that set time. I need to have that structure. And then once I come home, I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to move into my creative work, or for at least an hour. So that's my goal this week. I'm really going to encourage you guys to find something to challenge yourself with in that regard. Like what have you noticed that you're doing to avoid showing up for yourself? And what are you going to commit to doing this week? And how are you going to facilitate it in a way that is good for you, right? So like my thing is, I'll get home from work and I'll say, oh, I just want to sit down and eat dinner and take an hour and watch a show. Well, then at the end of that show, then I'm into the show, and then I'm going to watch another one, and now I'm going to avoid my work. Or, you know, if my friends want to go meet up and social distance at the park, then I need to say, no, I have to do this for an hour, and then I can show up and go. And sometimes just doing that is going to make the biggest difference, because again, it's that initial energy. We have a new commenter. We have Lilac Melody. My art might not make sense to anyone else at the end of the day outside of influence or opinion, and that does not matter. My art sets a part of me free. I love that. I think that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Let me read that again, you guys. This is really important. My art might not make sense to anyone else, but at the end of the day, outside of their influence or opinion, it doesn't matter. My art sets a part of me free. I like that. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing, and welcome, Lilac. Welcome to the discussion. It's nice to have you here. I hope that you enjoyed today's broadcast and that you hit subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when I go live. And again, welcome. So you guys, I'm going to cut you loose. This has been 2 hours of fun. If anybody else has anything to say, of course, feel free to comment. And again, if you think that this is going to help anybody, or you thought that it was particularly helpful for you, feel free to share it with others. And again, it sounds like we're going to continue to do some of these live streams since you guys are enjoying it. Ooh, and Sandra says, and that, Lilac, should be the dream. Kim says, have a creative week. You too, you guys. Hope you have a wonderful time. Mwah, kisses to you. So today, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this painting. I'm going to eat some lunch, and then I'm going to work on my motion graphic and put it together. And I should have that motion graphic done by the end of this week. But I want this painting done. All right, you guys, love you. Make one's art without fear of retribution or opinions. Beautiful. Wonderful. All right. Oh, that's a good idea, Zandra. Yeah, you know, having good reminders for ourselves it never hurts. And you can post them up around your house in the meantime, because you know the tattoo parlors aren't open. I'm ready for my next tattoo as well. All right, fellas, love you. Mwah. Be good. Hugs and kisses for you.